Action!
Hi, my name is Clark Kurz and I'll be the cameraman today. And here's our viewing audience. And this is Ben Fain with his speech on texting while driving.
Alright, well, thank y'all for being here today. I want to start y'all off with some statistics. So, 3,000 deaths, 300,000 injuries, and 1.6 million accidents each year. These are the average annual numbers caused by one problem in the United States. When I ask y'all what you think is the most dangerous thing you can do while driving, what do you think of? Drinking, taking drugs, eating, reading a map, putting on makeup. Well, I'm here today to talk about a problem that is statistically more dangerous than all of those things. The issue at hand is cell phone distraction, and we have to take a stand to be part of its solution. So I've only provided y'all with the tip of the iceberg when it comes to these alarming stats. So let's take a look at a few more before we consider the solution. As I said, 1.6 million accidents are caused by cell phone usage while driving in the United States each year. CNBC reports that at least 200,000 of these are caused by texting alone. A recent study performed by Car and Driver magazine simulated the effectual danger of texting while driving when compared to other distractions you can have while driving, like drinking and other ones that we mentioned before. So in this study, a car was rigged with a red light that is supposed to hypothetically simulate a car driver in front of you braking. And the test was performed under 3 different scenarios. While the test driver was legally drunk, so with a blood alcohol content of 0.08 or more, while reading an email, and while sending a text message. So when the test was performed while the driver was drunk, it took him an extra 4 feet before he began braking once he saw the brake light. When the test was performed while the driver was reading an email, it took him an extra 36 feet. When the test was performed while the driver was sending a text message, it took him an extra 70 feet before he began braking. So you might be surprised at the difference between the distance for text messaging and drunkenness, but the scariest part is that most people recognize these dangers and they choose to ignore them. The biggest age group and demographic at risk here is teens and young adults. A renowned law firm called Edgar Snyder and Associates in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, performed a recent study in which 50% of Americans aged 18 to 24 admit to texting while driving regularly. What's more alarming about that is that another group polled, 93% of them agreed that if you text and drive regularly, you will absolutely get in a car wreck later in your life. So we see that almost everyone, to a man, agrees that if you do it regularly, you're going to get in a wreck at some point in your life. And an alarming number also agreed that you might die. But at the same time, 50% of us still choose to do it. So while we see that drinking and driving causes more accidents and more deaths each year by volume, the apathy towards the danger of cell phone usage and driving, particularly texting, is what is most alarming about these statistics. So right now, we currently live in a state and a country with all this apathy towards this terrible danger. Where does the solution lie? I believe the only solution is strict penalties across the board. Currently, the power lies with the state to impose these penalties. I believe we should impose a zero-tolerance policy. We have nothing to lose and 3,000 lives to save each year. So the power to impose these laws is currently being enforced at the municipality level. Texas law, the state law, currently has limits for hands-free communication devices for drivers who are 18 and under only, and those limits aren't even total bans. In a recent proposal by the Texas legislature in 2011, they proposed to enforce a ban on all texting while driving in the state of Texas, just completely outlaw and ban it and make it illegal. Governor Perry in February of 2012 denied that ban, citing it as an attempt to micromanage adult behavior. This was reported by handsfreeinfo.com. The same site reports that as of now, only 8 cities in Texas currently have any sort of driving while texting laws. So that's 8 cities out of the entire state that have any kind of laws, and those laws aren't even necessarily outlawing the texting while driving. So I'm gonna end today with a personal testimony that I've had of texting while driving. So I used to text and drive. I was in text message conversations all the time, and when I got in my truck to drive, I didn't change my plans at all. I just continued the conversation while I was driving. So pretty much everywhere I drove my truck, I was in the middle of a text message conversation while driving. A year ago, exactly a year ago, I was sitting at a red light reading a text message from a friend. As I started to respond, I saw in my peripheral vision the light turn green. I was going to make a left turn through this intersection, and when I saw the light turn green, I assumed I had a green arrow to turn, so a protected red turn. But in fact, I only had an unprotected green light. So as I was reading my text message, saw the light turn green, I started responding, turning through the intersection, going left, and I never even saw the oncoming car coming. The first thing I heard was the loudest crash I've ever heard in my life, and my chest jolted against the seatbelt so hard that it felt like my chest was going to be crushed. I didn't even realize what had happened for a few seconds, but then I came to realize that I had hit an oncoming car, pretty much head-on collision almost. I was going about 20 miles per hour, and she was going about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So when the shock had settled, I got out of the truck, ran around to see if she was okay. She was still in her car. I didn't know if there was anyone else in there, so I was terrified. She opened the door when I got to her door, and I could see that she was okay, but just shaken up a lot. And when you guys could have seen the damage from this accident, you wouldn't even believe that was what it was from, because her car was absolutely totaled. It was destroyed. It looked like the person in there should have been dead. So I got out of there with some pretty serious damage to my truck. Her car was absolutely totaled. And for the rest of the night, I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I had a fight with my dad earlier that day, and I couldn't stop thinking about the last words I said to him. What if my girlfriend was in the passenger seat with me because that side of my truck got really messed up? Or what if the other car had a baby in the car? I just couldn't stop thinking about these possibilities of what might have happened. And pretty much couldn't sleep for the entire night. So it was at that night that I made a vow to myself to never text and drive ever again. And honestly, since I've done so, even when I think about going back to texting while driving, I just realize how much more danger I'm in. So if we want to be a part of the solution to this horrible danger in our country today, I think that we should all make the same vow. Just don't even consider it. Just don't do it. Absolutely do not text while drive. I used to think I was really good at it. I used to think I was the best at it, and I almost lost my life for someone else's over it. At the same time, I think we should stand for outlawing in the state whenever the opportunity arises again, if the legislature decides to make another proposal. So with that, I'm just going to challenge y'all to make that vow to yourself, and we can be part of the solution and help save 3,000 lives each year that don't have to die. So with that, thank y'all for your time, and I'm going to open the floor to questions.
Question. Do the statistics pertain to talking while driving too?
Yeah, so the original statistics I gave were for cell phone distraction, period. So that's 1.6 million accidents a year are caused by cell phone distraction. 200,000 of those are texting specifically. But in every study I read, the researchers assumed that the numbers are probably much higher than the reported numbers. But yeah, if you are talking on your cell phone, I think you're like 25 times more likely. That's not exact, that's just trying to remember. But just a ridiculous amount more likely to get in a wreck.
I heard that there's a law passed where you couldn't text or talk on your cell phone in a school zone.
Yeah, there are some restrictions being enforced. Also, I didn't mention all the restrictions on Texas state law, but currently it's on drivers who are 18 and under, and there are some restrictions while like in a school zone or a construction zone. But I mean, when you look at the Texas state laws, it's very minimal, and then the rest of the laws, as I said, are enforced at the city level. There's only 8 cities who have any laws outside of that in the whole state.
Is College Station one of them?
No, College Station is not one.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank y'all for your time.
Thank you.